collecting this? Okay, so this is chapter 4. Again, this is data presentation. After collecting your data and after organizing them or even analyzing them, we will be presenting our data. If you are going to make your own research, that this will be chapter 4. Yung old na format ng research. Like chapter 1 is the background of the study, chapter 2 is the RRL. I don't know if that is the format you had used in your high school years, but sa college ngayon, sa school, we use the IMRAD format. That will be introduction, methodology, and then yung chapter 3 results na. So this is where we present our data sa results section. So ang nawala actually in the IMRAD format is the RRL, but the RRL is still there, part na siya ng introduction. Okay, so for the objectives, at the end of our discussion, you should be able to describe the use of numerical tables, bar charts, pie charts, pictorial symbols, and scattergrams, and identify which type of data is appropriate for each method of presentation. And let us assess the strengths and weaknesses of each method of data presentation. So in research class, kasi remember we have data, okay? But most of the time, we present our data through words or yung textual presentation na tinatawag. However, pictures can actually present mga unsuspected na aspects of our data. So dito papasok yung iba't ibang way ng pag-present natin. So when we do analysis or investigation, it is important for us to know the most appropriate way ng pag-present ng data natin, both statistically and pictorially yan ha, para mas maintindihan siya ng ating reader. That when they see the results section of our paper, alam na nila agad ano yung findings niyo during the investigation. So most of the time when we do research, we actually use numerical tables. Ito talaga yung pinaka ginagamit na way or method of presenting the data. We will arrange our data in a table. Okay, so do not forget that the table should be constructed properly so that when the audience or the readers will look into it, they will automatically or they will not have a hard time understanding what you have presented. So kailangan kompleto yung inyong results in the table and at the same time magpo-provide din kayo ng verbal interpretation. So what is the advantage of using numerical table? So we have here the full details of the original data are available. So if we arrange them in a table, the readers will really see the exact values and kung ilan yung data mo, makikita nila lahat. So lahat ng iyong findings can be seen in a numerical table. And that will actually help other people to do re-analysis of your data. Or pwedeng maduplicate yung data ninyo. Yan yung advantage of numerical tables. However, the bad thing about using table or tabular presentation, kulang siya ng immediacy. So kung marami ka masyadong data, parang malulula yung inyong readers na ang daming numbers. Okay? So kailangan siya ng interpretation talaga. Kaya kung ano lang dyan, table lang and then numbers only, wala. This is forbidding and it lacks immediacy. Hindi maintindihan ng readers agad yan anong ibig sabihin ng mga numbers without the verbal presentation, okay, or verbal interpretation. Now, if your reader is highly numerate, example, pharmacist din ang tumingin sa inyong results section. Actually, they will not be put off by the table kasi they will easily understand the numbers there. But if your audience is not really into pharmacy, walang knowledge about pharmacy, for example, lay audience lang, they will not really understand these numbers presented in the table. So, magsha-shutdown yan lahat. Hindi na sila magpo-proceed magbasa ng iyong paper or ng iyong thesis kasi nga hindi na nila naintindihan yung napakaraming numbers in our table. So, okay lang ito kapag related din yung nagbabasa. I mean, kung pharmacy study, pharmacist din yung magbabasa. Madali nilang maintindihan. Pero pag hindi, ayun, magkakaproblema tayo niyan. So as much as possible, when you present your data in a table, kailangan organized and merong verbal interpretation. So we have an example here of a study. We have 3 different anti-emetic drugs. When you say emesis class, that refers to vomiting. Okay? Suka. That's emesis. Now when you say anti-emetic, meaning anti-vomiting yun siya or anti-suka. Now, kailan natin siya ginagamit? Yung mga cancer patients natin undergoing chemotherapy, yung adverse effect ng chemotherapy sa kanila is parati silang sumusuka. So most of the time, they will be given anti-emetic drugs. So in this study, we have 3 anti-emetic drugs given to our patient. Yung isa, current standard medicine. When you say current standard medicine, it's already approved by the Food and Drug Administration and it is being used by hospitals or even clinics for the patient. So approved na ito yung isa. Pero yung dalawang anti-emetic drugs in this example are new drugs. So the researcher here is investigating whether the 2 new drugs are comparable to the current standard medicine. So they are going to look on the degree of nausea reported when they are used. So each anti-emetic is administered to 30 patients and they assess nausea on a 4-point ordinal scale. So by the way, when you say anti-emetic drugs, that is not just for hindi lang talagang sumuka na. Nausea and vomiting talaga ito. Yung feeling na parang lipong ka na and you want to throw up. Yan, that's nausea. Now they have given the medicine to the patients and the patients will assess whether they magsuscore sila. Kung 1, none, meaning they don't feel nauseous after taking the drug. Then you have 2 as light, 3 as moderate, and 4 as severe. So when we are going to present this via a numerical table, so this is how the table looks like. So meron dyan, table number 1, number of patients reporting varying degrees of nausea following use of 3 different anti-nausea drugs. So ito yung current standard, the candidate number 1 and candidate number 2. And binilang lang nila ilan yung nag-report ng none, ilan nag-report ng severe nausea after taking the current standard. So ito yung sinasabi na if you are related to pharmacy, like ako, pharmacist ako, maiintindihan ko agad ano yung nasa table. So alam ko kaagad na this is for the current standard treatment and that these 2 here are new drugs and that when they reported none, meaning they don't feel nauseous after taking the drug. So alam ko agad kung ano yung ibig sabihin yan. But if you're just a lay person, in an ordinary one, not related to any medical course, hindi mo talaga maintindihan kung ano yung nasa table. So yan yung downside. However, in research, kahit pa may downside si numerical table, ito pa rin yung commonly used. Kaya lang, inaayos natin yung ating data na mas maintindihan siya. So kung research pa ito class, magkakaroon yan ng another column here for the interpretation. verbal interpretation. It may be a word or a phrase that will interpret this one. And actually, it does not end here if you're going to make your thesis, kasi after the tabular presentation, you have to have a textual presentation also, meaning you have to explain what is in the table also. So again, our goal is to convey our results to our audience. Now, aside from using numerical table, we can also use graphical presentations, okay? Graphical presentation. So we have here the bar charts and the histograms. These are examples of graphical presentation. Now take note that, balikan ko yung table. Sa table class ha, yung types of data na pwedeng i-present, lahat yon. You can present interval, ordinal, or nominal data using a numerical table. That is also true for bar charts and histograms. We can also present interval data, ordinal, or nominal here. So sa bar chart yon. Ito yung tinatawag na bar chart. Hindi pa natin ito gagawin ha. I just want you to be familiar of the different methods of presentation of data. So again, we have here, this is just a simple bar chart. So if you see presentations like this, simple bar chart lang siya. Okay? So for example, year 2001, this is the unit, ito yung units of drugs, for example, that they have manufactured. So 50 lang. And then pag 2002, tumaas, and so on. Okay, that's how they present the simple bar charts. But actually, yung bar charts, meron pa siyang ibang types. So ito yung tinatawag na 3-dimensional bar chart. Kasi marami tayong types of data dito. Meron tayong like names of the person, and then north, east, and west, kung saan sila pumunta, and the times, or even the distance na ilahang gi-travel, for example. So this is applicable if you have a lot of data. Yung sa simple bar chart, simple lang talaga siya. You just plot kung ilang units, for example, yung na manufacture in a year. Ito, since marami kang data, may each person ka or each subject, tapos each subject meron pa siyang pagpipilian na, for example, 4, and then bibilangin mo pa yon, kaya siya naging 3-dimensional bar chart. I actually seldom see this in research kasi hindi ito masyadong maintindihan din ng ating lay audience. And then pag nakakakita kayo ng ganito, I don't know if you see one, but this is called the stack bar chart. You have lots of data also here, but unlike the 3-dimensional bar chart, pinag-isa silang lahat. And then ano na lang, yung length class ng bawat color dyan will represent the amount or the count. Depende kung ano yung kinakount. Okay? So again, this is called the stacked bar chart. And then this is what you call the histogram. This is almost similar to the simple bar chart, but dugtong-dugtong sila. Like this one is the simple bar chart, hiwalay-hiwalay. You have 2001, that's a separate bar, and then 2002 is another separate bar. This time for histograms, actually, this is used if we have range. Like age, for example, 27 to 28, ilan sila? So dyan sila sa isang bar kung ika-count natin. And then yung mga 28 to 29, for example, dito sila sa another bar. Okay? So meron tayong tinatawag na class width here. Kailangan magkapareho yung interval dyan. Okay? And then class yung tawag sa isang bar with our histogram. So again, our histogram is a bar chart. However, ang ginawa natin is yung scale natin is dinivide natin into ranges. Okay? Ano yan? Again, histogram ang tawag. Pinagsama-sama natin. Example, yung age. Lahat ng 25 to 28, isang bar sila. 29 to 30, isang bar din sila. Okay? And then, i-count mo lang yung frequency. So, yan lang yung difference ng bar chart and our histogram. Now, what are the advantage and disadvantages of using bar charts and histogram? The good thing is it has excellent immediacy. When you say excellent immediacy, when a person looks at it, especially the simple bar chart, madali siyang intindihin. Like, masasabi mo na agad na, oh, it was 2006 na maraming unit yung na-produce. Madaling i-interpret. And it was 2004 yung pinakamaliit na unit na na-produce. So, ganon ang meaning ng immediacy. Okay, so it can convey message immediately, and most of the time, reasonably friendly naman. However, the bad thing of using bar charts and histogram is wala na yung exact values ng ating data. Kasi pinag-isa na natin siya sa chart and hindi mo na makikita yung lahat ng numerical values. So, yun lang yung problem natin with histogram and bar chart. So, you cannot do reanalysis if the presentation is through histogram or bar chart kasi wala tayong exact numerical data for this. So, just like this one. Ayan. Hahanapin mo pa kung saan yan naka-line. So, pero hindi ka din sure kung saan siya dyan na fall, kung ano ba talaga yung exact values nila. Okay? That's the bad thing about using histograms and bar charts in presenting our data. But again, you can present all types of data using bar charts and histograms. Now, another way or another method of presenting our data is the so-called pie chart. However, take note that pie charts are only used for nominal type of data. Meaning, di ba, ang ibig sabihin ng nominal data, those data na walang numerical value but instead we classify them. So for example, the question is about the demographic profile of the patient, and then we will ask about their sex, whether they are male or they are female. So category yun siya. Okay? Category, ito babae, ito lalaki. Nominal type of data yan siya. And we present them using the pie charts. So ito yung tinatawag natin na pie charts. Okay? So just like this sa animals, nakikita nyo class, meron talaga siyang classification. Isang pie, yung sa chicken and so on. Even with the total sales here with the different fruits. Okay? So do not forget that. Now, what is good about using pie charts? Friendly, yes. And just like with our bar charts and histograms, they have also excellent immediacy. Wherein if you look at it, syempre yung pinakamalaking pie, yan yung pinakamarami ang count. Okay? Or just like this one. Ito yung pinakamalaking pie, like this one, the 35%, yun yung may pinakamalaking sales. Kung titingnan ng audience ito, they can easily interpret. Okay? Kung ano yung pinakamarami, ano yung pinakamaliit. But the bad thing is this is just appropriate for nominal type of data. We don't really do this for ordinal and scale data. When you say scale, it's both interval and ratio. Okay? And just like with our histograms and our bar charts, the values here, the exact values are lost. Okay? You cannot see the exact values na if you are going to look at the pie charts. Okay? Hanapin pa natin kung ano ba talaga ang totoong number or totoong values na nakuha ng researcher if they presented it using a pie chart. Okay, now another one is the scatter plots. This is used to illustrate relationship between two measured parameters. Okay, so if makakakita kayo ng scatter plots, ito yung mukha ng scatter plots natin, class. And most of the time, ginagamit natin siya to convey and to show relationship of two things. Okay? Yan yung gamit ng scatter plots natin. Now, in research, remember, we have the dependent and the independent variables. Pag sinabing independent variables, that is the one that is manipulated or controlled in the study. While the dependent variable is our outcome variable. Now, if you're going to present your data using a scatter plot, always remember that the y-axis should contain the dependent variable and the x-axis should have the independent variable. So example, we have here cocaine percent using and then cannabis. Okay, kung gusto mong malaman ng researcher kung gumagamit ba ng cannabis, gumagamit din ba ng cocaine. Okay, so ito yung scatter plots nila. Tinitingnan yung relationship kung tumaas ba yung paggamit ng cannabis. When you say cannabis, that's marijuana. Tataas din ba yung paggamit ng cocaine? Okay, so scatter plots ang tawag dito. And then we are looking for relationship. Again, that is called a scatter plot. Now, however, this also has excellent immediacy. You will automatically see yung relationship ng dalawang variables. Makikita mo naman, like this one, pag tumaas, example ito, pag tumaas yung cannabis na paggamit, tumaas din naman yung cocaine. Pero that is actually not true for all the elements here. Pero most likely, you may have a conclusion na like this one, nagtapok na silang tanan dinhi. Meaning yan, konti yung percent ng paggamit ng cannabis and at the same time, konti din yung paggamit ng cocaine. So both drugs are both drugs are abused and both drugs are prohibited under sa dangerous drugs sa Philippines. You know that for cannabis, the marijuana, this is a hallucinogen, while the cocaine originally is used as a local anesthetic. That's the original use of cocaine. We call that crack or coke. Pero this one is abused. Okay? Yan yung ginagawa ng scatter plots, looking into the relationship of two things. And lastly, wala akong giingon dito, mabdan ng 10:30 karon. Sa oras na, alas 9 pa lang. Okay. Pictorial symbols. You can see this sa mga elementary books. Charot. Elementary books and other, na ay mga research na nagagamit gihapon ani. Pero seldom lang ako nakakakita ng ganito sa college or sa even graduate na mga studies. So pag sinabing pictorial symbols, you're going to use pictures in presenting your data. And ito yung example ng pictorial symbols natin. Di ba yung elementary tayo, merong ganito, pinapa-count sa atin lahat. Okay, like isang ulo dyan will represent 10 students. So kung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 70 students yan, lahat. So again, pictorial symbols kasi you will be using pictures to represent the data. So again, ginagamit siya mostly sa mga elementary books. So all in all, yun lahat yung ating methods of presenting our data. Let me just show you an example of a research, a pharma research, and let us look at their way of presenting the data before tayo mag-end. Gusto ko mag-end na ng maaga actually. Kasi pag di tayo nag-end, madadagdagan yung pag-aaralan nyo sa statistics. Chapter 4 na yun. Hindi naman talaga mahaba yung aking slides for statistics. Marami lang talaga tayong computation, and I just want to make sure that you understand each type of problem that we have, and you will be able to use this sa inyong research. Wait lang ha, kaya nangita ko sa akong i-present na example sa research. I don't know saan ko yung nilagay. My study. Wait, I think this one is my study. This is not it. Wait lang. Imrad. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Okay, so I already asked permission sa nagmamay-ari ng research na ito. It's a study, yeah, it's the study of Miss Osano and her groupmates ni Isobel. Okay, so yung study nila, blood sugar lowering activity of formulated tea from Nephelium lapacum rambutan leaves in alloxan-induced diabetic Swiss albino mice. Yan yung title ng kanilang research. From the title itself, you can really say that this one is an experimental na study. Quantitative experimental study using laboratory animals. To be exact, they used, or to be specific, they used Swiss albino mice for this. And after investigating the activity of their plant material, they formulated their own dosage form, and it's in the form of a tea. Okay? So, tingnan natin yung kanilang presentation of data. Wait lang, mahaba ito. You will be doing research na next school year. That will be on the first semester. Magsa-start na kayo gawa ng research ninyo. And then look at this conceptual framework. They have the independent and the dependent variables. So look at the independent variables class. These are the ones na manipulated or controlled in the study, meaning these are the drugs or these are the substances they have given in their animals. So sila ang nag-control kasi. Ito lang yung binigay nila. So that is what you call being controlled in the study. So they have the formulated tea of their rambutan, and then they have their positive control, that is their standard drug, and glimepiride is already marketed and ginagamit na talaga siya as anti-diabetic drug. And then they have the negative control also, meaning meron silang mga daga na tubig lang yung binigay nila. Negative control ang tawag natin dyan. Kasi hindi naman tayo mag-expect na magkakaroon ng activity si tubig doon sa blood sugar level. And then yung dependent variable nila, yung outcome. Okay? Outcome ng study nila. And that is the blood sugar level of the alloxan-induced diabetic mice. And they have provided there that the data that they are going to collect or they collected is in milligrams per deciliter. Okay, alloxan-induced Swiss albino mice yan, meaning they made their mice diabetic. So originally, hindi naman talaga diabetic yung pinurchase nila na daga. They just induce the diabetes using alloxan. Okay. Results lang dapat, no? Let's look at their results. Masyadong RRL. Wait lang. Okay, so ito yung methodology nila. Ito yung pag-collect nila ng data. But let's look at the results. Okay, the results are presented in both tabular numerical table and at the same time textual presentation. So yan yung ginamit nila in their research. Gumamit sila ng table. Again, if you are a pharmacist or an allied health professional, you can actually immediately understand these numbers here in the table. But if you are just a lay person, wala na, dili na ka makasabot. So you have to read the presentation sa baba or the explanation. Pero kung tayo, I don't know with you though, since you are still in your second year, like kung ako personally, alam ko na kaagad na itong dose ng kanilang plant material negative. Meaning, walang decrease in the blood glucose post-treatment. Pero pagdating dito sa second dose na binigay nila sa daga nila, positive na. So yun yung pag-present ng data natin. So marami pa silang table. Meron pa silang baseline glucose kasi chinek pa nila ang baseline kung diabetic na ba yung daga or hindi. By the way, yung sa daga is parehas pa rin sa tao yung normal values. Then, after the baseline, they have here the induction, meaning nung binigay na nila ang alloxan, tiningnan nila kung tumaas ba. So, if you look at the table, these are the values of their mice sa blood glucose level before giving the alloxan. Ito naman yung after ng pagbigay ng alloxan. So, kung makikita nyo, kung you are a pharmacist or you are in medical world, kita natin dyan na tumaas talaga ang values. Meaning, the mice had become diabetic na. And then after that, nag-assign na sila. So, binigay na nila yung plant material nila. And ito na yung kanilang results. So, again, the presentation is through the table, numerical table. Pero lahat yan kailangan talaga ng explanation after. Okay, so this is just an example of a research, and itong statistical analysis, we will have that we will have this sa midterm and sa finals. I will really teach you class, example, ito na yung data nila. Ayan, ito na yung data nila. I will really teach you how to analyze this using the statistical software. So yung mga walang just, let's be patient with the manual computation. Pero kung meron kayong just, automatic tayo yung lahat. So parehas sa kanila. Sila actually ang gumawa nitong ANOVA. Hindi sila gumastos sa kanilang statistician kasi sila mismo alam nila paano mag-ANOVA, and alam din nila paano nila i-interpret itong results ng ANOVA na ito. Okay? Para hindi na tayo gumastos ng statistician. Yan talaga yung goal ko every time I teach statistics. I'm not settling only to what is mean, median, and mode. I always go into inferential statistics na ma-apply nyo talaga siya sa research ninyo. And kayo mismo yung mag-a-analyze and mag-i-interpret ng data. Na pagdating sa defense, even if the panelist will ask you, ano yung isasagot ninyo kasi naintindihan nyo yung ginawa nyo sa statistics and alam nyo yung interpretation. So that is our goal for the midterms and the finals. I will teach you how to do the t-test and kung kailan ginagamit si t-test sa research. I will also teach you ANOVA and also with the relationship. Meron kasing research class na nagtatanong ng is there a significant relationship between one variable and another variable? I will also teach you how to do the analysis if that is the question in the statement of the problem. Okay, goal natin yan siya sa statistics. Para pagdating ng research ninyo, ayun, hindi mo mamroblema sa inyong stat. So, yung fourth year natin ngayon, yung sila Isobel and the batchmates, hindi na talaga sila kumuha ng statisticians from the school or outside the school na babayaran pa nila. Sila mismo yung gumawa ng statistics. Pero pina-check pa rin naman nila sa akin. And tama naman yung pinagagawa nila. And then after ko chinek, ang sabi ko sa kanila, okay, you interpret your result and then submit your paper sa akin. when they submitted, alam din nila kung paano i-interpret yung kanilang na-compute na statistics. So in your batch, ganun din yung ating gagawin. So itong third year na batch, I'm working on sa kanila. Though ako pa rin yung teacher nila sa statistics, pero online din kasi yon, and that was the first time na nag-online, and hindi sila lahat may access nun sa JASP. So yung alam ng third year natin ngayon is more on the more on the manual computation. Kaya lang mahirap tayo mag-manual computation sa research if we have lots of data. Paano kung nag-survey sila, residents of General Santos City, hindi, mga 300 to kabuok, dugay kita mahuman sa ato ang manual computation. And by possibility pa na magmali ta kay we might miss something during the process, baka may nakulang na number and so on. So i-work out ko pa ulit yung statistics nila since they are doing their research ngayon. Magre-review pa ako sa kanila. I hope they have the access na with the JASP. Ang mahirap lang kasi sa JASP, kailangan mo talaga either ng laptop or ng desktop. Hindi kasi talaga siya nag-work sa cellphone. Pero I will also teach you yung mga magma-manual computation. If you have the access sa Excel, I will also teach you how to do those statistical tests sa Excel. Kasi pwede din naman pa rin siya sa Excel. Okay? Para meron tayong options. If you cannot do it using the software, then you can use the Excel. Pero kung wala talaga, okay, let's be patient with the manual computation. Okay? Any question?